This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Mailbag, everybody, on this 17th day of January, 2025. It's a Friday evening, a little bit later than I normally record, but here we are, and we've got quite a few emails to get through, as you'd imagine. We'll go through as many as we can, prioritize those of you that are our patrons, and then if there's anybody left, we'll do our best, along with the voicemails, and see how much we get through. I do want to give a shout-out to those of you who have joined us on Patreon over the last week or so. Isaiah Lawrence, Adam, Andy P. I can't pronounce your last name. Pocatello. I'm so awful. Andy, thank you. And then we have, let's see here, Bearded Breed 89. Thank you for joining us. And April Parton. April, thank you so much for joining us over here. And of course, Logan McFadden. Thank you so much also for joining us over the last week. And you guys can get a shout out and all of your content here ad free. If you go out over to patreon.com/WWE podcast, you can get ad free everything, as well as on Spotify, as well as Apple. Everything, everywhere pretty much offers an ad free experience, nearly everywhere. Alrighty, so let's jump into those emails and start with the patrons as we normally do. And where do we want to start? We'll start with James. James from Scotland says, "Hope everyone's doing well. I thought Raw was a big improvement this week. I'm glad we've come to the end of the Judgment Day Priest feud, as I felt it got stale a month or so ago. With that said, I'd like to see Creative give us a dominant Judgment Day again, as they've took a lot of defeats lately and need to be built back up. I think JD has improved being a part of the group, and Dominic has been great as a heel and deserves a singles title. And Raw doesn't really have another heel faction, and splitting them would weaken the overall roster. I'm also looking to see the New Day finally get a match on Raw and show us what they can do as heels. I'm looking forward to that too. Feels like the New Day have weirdly cooled off. I was hoping they wouldn't, but they kind of have, and perhaps it's just waiting until Big E returns for them to get rejuvenated, because right now they could kind of duel with a tag team in the interim or an individual or two, but the real focal point, of course, is when is Big E returning? Is he returning? Is he a participant in the Rumble? Are they going to have an interaction in the Rumble? Is it going to be after? But really, that's seemingly where they're going. But yeah, New Day have been kind of cool, as well as Judgment Day, to your point. The Judgment Day, for a while now, have felt like they are an afterthought, that perhaps they have run their course. That may be the case. That may not be. I think there is still something left for the Judgment Day to do, and I don't want them to dissolve just to dissolve, not just because the heel faction is not exactly deep over on Raw, but also because I want each individual who's in that group to have a plan. I want Creative to have some kind of plan for them. After all, the main purpose of any faction is to create individual single stars from them, or hopefully do that. Because that's where the real money is. That's where the real big ticket is in individual stars. That's, kind of undisputed over the last 50 years. We've seen that in wrestling. So, as far as, the Judgment Day Priest feud, yeah, thank God that's over. Done, hopefully. Thank you, James. Let's talk to Shahar. I know you've got an email from me that's not in the mailbag, but obviously I'm not going to read that. I'll read the one you sent me for the mailbag. And Shahar from Israel says, "What's up? Wanted to discuss a few things. Number one, how did Bianca find herself in that fatal four-way match for the number one contendership for the WWE Women's Championship? She came out only as a companion for Naomi, her tag team partner. She had no real business being there. She has no legit claim for the title, so it was very confusing and weird." It was weird. I didn't follow it either. But here's why I didn't care. And I didn't care simply because Bianca does not belong in a tag team. I don't know why they have put Bianca on the back burner for so long. I haven't heard of any heat on her backstage. Nothing that she's done wrong. They just, for whatever reason, have not brought her back to the forefront. Now, everything can change, and change on a dime. I mean, things could change big time in the Rumble, but if they don't, I don't understand what they're doing with her in a tag team. They're just insistent that she's part of a tag team. Jade gets injured. I'm sorry. Her and Jade become a tag team. They win the tag team championship. They lose it, and you're thinking, okay, finally, at least whatever. She's back to being the singles. Nope, they stay together, reclaim them. Then Jade gets injured, and you're thinking, okay, well, thank God. The wrestling gods have intervened here, and we're going to get finally a singles run back where Bianca belongs in the singles division here. And nope, we're going to put her with Naomi. So I just, they, no matter what happens, they find a reason to keep her in a tag team. I hate it. So to be honest, Shahar, I don't care because Bianca has done her time. She has done her time as a tag team partner. She's paid her dues. Bring her back to a singles role, please. I don't even care if it doesn't make sense. I'm big on continuity and logic. In this case, I don't care. There's times where it's not an absolute rule for me. This one, I don't even care. Did I miss something about Cody and Jimmy Uso? Are they friends now? We haven't seen them together since Jimmy came back in the main event of Bad Blood to help Roman and Cody against Solo and Jacob. In the end, when Solo and Jacob started beating Cody, Jimmy was the one to encourage Roman to help Cody because Cody gave his word. Or he gave Cody his word, rather. How come now Cody defending Jimmy he's defending Jimmy from the new bloodline and teams with him in the main event against Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu? I only have one thing to say about this. Kevin Owens was right. That's what's kind of the great about this new breed of heels that WWE has pumped out. I don't know if it's the brainchild of creative Triple H, Kevin, Drew, or a combination of all. But this new breed of heel that doesn't need to always cheat to win, sometimes runs into bad luck, like Kevin did with Cody Rhodes in the main event, and nearly did win the WWE Championship. But also, they tell the truth. There's a lot of truth in what they say. That's not normal for heels. We're used to them lying, cheating, and stealing. And again, not in the adoring way, in the endearing way that Eddie Guerrero did, but in a very vicious and unlikable way. And so this new breed that they're pumping out really is refreshing. I love what Kevin Owens has been doing with his character, claiming he's he's still the WWE champion. He's the uncrowned champion. He's got the Winged Eagle championship. I like it. And same with Drew. I think he and Drew, if they teamed up, bring it on, man. How about this? I don't think they'd do it because all three are great solo acts, but how about Drew, Kevin, and Seth Rollins as a power trio? Wow. I don't think it'll happen, but it's something to think about. Okay, this next point is something that I've been hammered on by you guys, and rightfully so, and by people I don't know who have sent me emails, comments on my YouTube. And here's what it is. Okay, and Shahar, I'm not, this isn't me getting, trying to retort your question, or it's a broader question or broader point that many of you brought up, and that is, you talked about the little girl who cried at the debut of Penta. Apparently it's his daughter, so obviously it's understandable. Until next time, my friend, Shahar. Well, thank you, Shahar, and hope all is well over there. Yes. Okay, guys. At the time, for whatever reason, I missed that it was Penta's daughter. Okay. I did. I missed it, admittedly. And I missed it. I totally didn't know that was Penta's daughter. If they announced it during the broadcast, I missed it, or if it was announced after, whatever. But, I stand by my original analysis. Right? If it wasn't Penta's daughter, it was just some random girl crying in the audience. Yeah, it's kind of silly, but given it's his daughter, hey, cool, fine. I don't know much more to say about it. Yeah, obviously if it's his daughter, which I did not know at the time, again, don't know how I missed it, but I did. And fine. Yeah, it's understandable. If it's his daughter, absolutely. Yeah, cool moment. And again, I'll return to this because many of you have pointed that out. Alrighty, let's go to AJ, another patron. Says, I'm currently sick at the moment, so I haven't listened to the Raw review yet. I'm so sorry if you've already touched on it, but not everyone needs to announce they're in the Rumble. I get WWE wanting to try to sell, but I think the Rumble kind of sells itself. I'm looking forward to a Rumble, and I kind of had a thought, assuming recent reports are our work, but let's just say Pat is in the Rumble. I'm assuming he will be. Wait, who's Pat? Wait, Pat? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Pat McAfee? All right, let's just say he is. Okay, fine. I didn't know because I only know one Pat. I'm thinking Pat Patterson, unless he, gets somebody resurrects him with, Resurrection Stone. I don't think that can happen. Anyway, I'm assuming he will because it's in Indianapolis where he played for the Colts. Pat is in the ring and gets eliminated and celebrating, and Corey Graves comes out in the Rumble as a contestant and eliminates him, as he has been apparently cleared to wrestle in the past. This could lead to a match at WrestleMania for that other commentator spot with Pat winning. Graves has already taken some digs at Pat on commentary, so I wouldn't be completely surprised. That's my kind of sickly conspiracy theory I thought of. I don't necessarily care if it does or doesn't happen, but I think they missed with Corey because he's better than Pat, in my opinion, and if Corey actually leaves, it kind of sucks. We don't know what's happening here with Corey Graves. I don't know what's happening. Assuming, okay, there's two schools of thought. Number one, this is all work to get Corey back into the ring. Or two, it's legitimate and WWE and Corey Graves have a fractured relationship. I'm leaning more towards that being the possibility, that it's actually just a fractured relationship and perhaps Corey Graves could take time off or leave the company completely, which would be Corey Graves is good. He's really good on commentary. He's one of the few that transitions very nicely from in-ring to announcer's desk and has done a very good job. I have to give it to Corey. Do I like everything he does? No. Does he try to be too cute at times? Yeah, but I think he's done a very good job for a job that I think a lot of people don't understand the difficulty of and the all the intricacies that come with being an announcer and the things you have to hit and remember in storylines for 3 hours and all the details, and it's a difficult job, and he's done a great job. So it'll be a big deal and a big loss if he leaves. Okay, it will be, and it'll be a big hole left. That's what I think the more likely. But let's go with the fun scenario. Let's go with the more fun scenario that it is indeed a storyline to get people talking. WWE knows that social media sets things on fire and magnifies things, and immediately things go trending, right? With WWE, something like this will trend very quickly, and it has. So let's assume that. All right. I don't know if I want to see a Pat McAfee and Corey Graves match. Now, it won't be as bad as like the King versus Michael Cole that we saw 12 years ago at WrestleMania with Austin as the referee, which is really the only interest I had in that. And Michael Cole doing the coal miners and hiding behind plexiglass and all the rest. Admittedly, at times it was kind of entertaining, but the focus shouldn't be on announcers. It just shouldn't be. I'm not of that belief. And even Jim Ross at times had matches for his spot at the commentary table. How many times did WWE on air and really behind the scenes fire Jim Ross? And he had to fight for his job, and Stone Cold would bring him back, and then they'd find a way to, break cinder blocks over his face. And yeah, I think Eric Bischoff did that on the before Austin returned in 2003 at No Way Out. Just there's so many ridiculous things that have happened. But I don't need it to be about the announcers. It'd be a fun little moment and story. If they have that as a moment, fine. Cool. They have a little spat rivalry, kind of a friendly rivalry. Like they throw some punches, but in the end, it's all fun and games, and it's kind of a gentleman's duel, right? And Pat gets thrown out, but I don't need this run into WrestleMania. Pat McAfee is decent in the ring for the little experience he has, but he was, I think, overrated at times. No, not at times. In that match with Austin Theory at WrestleMania 38. Because it's Austin Theory, and Austin Theory is 10 times the athlete in the ring anyway that Pat McAfee is, and he was able to really bump and do most of the psychology and most of the strategy in that match. It was because of Austin Theory, despite the fact that Austin Theory has fallen off a cliff. So anyway, all right, AJ, we'll see what happens there. All righty. Let's go to another patron. It's Kay. Kay, I don't know if I've ever heard from you before, but you're a patron. So you're a weekly listener. This is a wonderful platform. I appreciate your efforts. Now, here we go. Number one, I thought your rant last week was warranted. The nonsense Raw 1 on Netflix was awful. The sales job was used car full sleaze. Yeah, it was. I mean, hey, I still don't feel any differently now than I did then. It's not like I was speaking out of emotion in the moment, and now that I have time to kind of reflect on my initial thoughts that maybe, no. I triple down on everything I said about Raw. It felt very corporate. I very eloquently put it as a corporate circle jerk, because it's exactly what it was. A throw away all the stories and get all the suits together, and you know what? All right. So number 2, Hogan, go away. Like his fake terrible beer, that will suck too. You know what would be really funny is, like, I actually do like beer. I'm a big beer fan. I'm not one of those like, I got to go to a dive bar though, and I got to go one of these like hipster dive bars that have these triple hops. I don't give a yeah. I don't care about that. I really like. I know people are, you don't drink that Coors Light stuff. To be honest with you, I'm a big fan of just kind of like regular beers. I don't really like Bud Light that much. Coors Light, I love. Coors Light's good. Yes, Michelob Ultra, even back in the day. I love Heineken Light. I won't drink it on purpose, but I used to back in college because it was economical, is Keystone Light. How about Keystone Light? Does that bring any memories back for you guys? Any stale beer scents in the morning from a very intense game of beer pong the night before kind of memory for you? Is that joggedy? Deep holes in your head. So Keystone Light definitely makes me think of that, but I don't love Keystone Light. Like I drink it if it's the only thing there, but I wouldn't happily do it. I do like Molson. I like Molson Triple X. That's really maybe I should just have a show. I'm going off the rails here, but I could have an episode on After Dark about beers and maybe some beers, like story and beer time or something. I mean, because there's just so many to tell. But Triple X, Molson Triple X. I wonder if they even make that anymore. I remember or barely remember some nights because of Molson Triple X. Very high alcohol, high ABV in the Molson Triple X category. So what's some other ones? Just very quickly here. I'm thinking, remember they did Bud Light Platinums. That had a high ABV. I didn't mind those. But anyway, I'll stop there, and maybe we'll have a whole nother story and show about that. 3, Tiffy time. I know you're not the biggest fan, but she is the real deal and can do it all. She's a character who happens to be acrobatic. The WWE needs her, but this is my opinion. Well, here's what I would say. I absolutely cannot deny she's an amazing athlete. At this point in the game in professional wrestling, if you're not a great athlete, you're not going to be successful in the company. I mean, there was a time not too long ago when you didn't even have to be an athlete, much less a great one, to be successful. Look at Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. You guys think they were athletes? Andre the Giant, an athlete, right? I know I'm going back into the 80s here for some of you. That's just before you were born. But there was a time that athleticism didn't really matter. It was about character and character only. And what happened in the ring is just kind of, you cared about what happened in the ring, but it was more about why you wanted someone to win than how they won, or rather how good their quote unquote match was, So things have changed. So I can't deny that Tiffany Stratton is an athlete. Yes, absolutely. Do I think she's the real deal? Yeah. I mean, so far, time will tell, history will tell. But I'm not disparaging her based on her current credentials. I think that Nia just needed a longer run, or deserved a longer run, believe it or not. And I'm just shocked that they did it as quick as they did. I have no problem with Tiffany winning. I just didn't think they'd do it that soon. But your last point about WWE needing her, I don't think WWE needs anyone. They don't need anyone. They turned down Sasha Banks because Sasha Banks wanted too much money, and thank God they did. Sasha Banks is the most overrated, self-absorbed, former women's champion WWE has ever had. I mean, her promos are horrific in AEW. Sure, in the ring, she has good matches from time to time. Yeah, she's just a very, seemingly, and this is just because all she's shown us, is a very off-putting, selfish, self-absorbed human being. Mercedes Moné is everything about her is just so off-putting. I don't care if she's, oh my God, she's so attractive. I don't think so. I mean, her personality kills everything for me. Just the way it is. But anyway, WWE doesn't need anybody. You know how I know they don't need anybody? They survived without Stone Cold Steve Austin when he had to leave. They survived without The Rock when he left for a very long period of time and still really isn't here to begin with. They survived without Roman Reigns for a long period of time. They've survived without Hulk Hogan, and now the WWE fans want nothing to do with him anymore. Like, there isn't a name that you can put out there that, past or present, WWE needed to survive. They don't need anyone. I mean, it's just, I'll put over the brand on that one. They don't. Okay, 4. I believe the best male talent are Gunther, Drew, Damian, and Jacob. 5. The storylines are getting boring and poor. Bloodline, Judgment Day, etc. Well, the storylines ebb and flow. You're not going to have a storyline hot all the time consistently. It's almost impossible for storylines to be always hot and intriguing all the time. I mean, that's the goal. But especially when stories go on, as long as the Judgment Day and Bloodline story has gone on, yeah, it does get a little bit like, oh my God, the Bloodline, what's Bloodline this week, that week? And the Bloodline's going through so many iterations of interest and exits and highways that it's taken and turns and different matchups and OG turns on each other. Like, we've been there, done that. I'm with you there. But yeah, it's also kind of just cyclical with wrestling. You're never going to have everything hot all at once, always, every time, every week, you know. As much as I wanted it, the Wyatt Six are awful and soon to be out. Yeah, it's funny. The Wyatt Six, I mean, outside of just kind of like casually being mentioned by the Final Testament, where are the Wyatt Six? I mean, prominently. They show up here and there, but I'm a bit worried about them. It's been a long time now since they debuted. Long time. How many months? Many. They are of concern. Yes. 7. And finally, I want to see the returns of Alexa Bliss and the Queen, who I think should be Tiffy's mentor. Well, thank you for everything you do. Cheers. Well, thank you, Kay, and hope you enjoy the show and enjoy your week. Well, I mean, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not predicting the return of Charlotte, although now it's getting seemingly very close because there were recent pictures of her at the Performance Center and her driving a car with her partial ring gear on. And like she's hinting to the fans, I'm coming. If I was forced to make a prediction, and I'll just do it because it's just at this point, it's embarrassing. And also I've got to be right one of these times. She'll re-debut, return at the Rumble. Seems to be a very solid spot. Alexa Bliss, I don't know. She seems to be less close to returning. I know that she's seemingly diving headfirst into motherhood, and cool for her, great for her. I don't know much more about Alexa or Alexi Kaufman. I'm not sure what she's doing, other than just being a mom. So, all right. I say just being a mom, as if it's something that's just not a big deal. It is. It's just, I know, but as wrestling fans, we want to know, when are you returning, right? Screw the kid. When are you coming back to entertain me, right? I know, I get it. Okay. We're trying to go through these guys as quick as we can here. Let's go to DJ. And DJ says, DJ, back at it again. And Gunther says to Jay, to you, main event a nickname. To me, main event is the place where I belong. Those words kind of make sense how Jay has been booked. He gets put into singles main event situations and does not finish the deal, with the only exception of him winning the IC title, but then 2 or 3 weeks later, he drops the belt back to Braun Breaker. I like Jay. He's got the crowd hype and interacting with them when he does the yeet hand gestures. However, I don't believe that Jay is going to win the championship at Saturday night's main event. Yeah, no, not a chance. Zero. None. I mean, just sorry. Yeah, none. Now back to Gunther. His title reign as of late has been kind of mid, and technically, in my opinion, he really isn't main event material because the guys that are main event material on Raw are the ones that don't have any current championships to their names. I'm talking about McIntyre, Punk, Rollins, who just so happened to all declare for the Rumble individually. Yeah, Gunther has his opponents have, as of late have been a bit underwhelming. It's almost as if they're just kind of spinning his wheels until they get his next real opponent, which should be something at some time at the Rumble, I would imagine. I heard Logan Paul's name thrown around there, but don't forget too, Goldberg. Oh yeah, Goldberg. So I think Goldberg could be Gunther's next opponent, and I think he'll show up maybe right after Saturday night's main event, spear him or something. Yeah, and there you go. I don't want it any more than most of you do, but all right. Gunther's reign as IC champion had more significance than his current world title reign. When Gunther was the IC champion, he was undefeated for almost 2 years until dropping the title to Sami Zayn, which I think Gunther should have retained. After winning the world title at SummerSlam from Priest, he only had 4 title defenses. Plus, he got pinned by both Sami at WrestleMania and Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. From these references and the way Gunther has been booked lately, there's a case to be made for main event Jey Uso to possibly dethrone Gunther at Saturday night's main event. However, as I continue to debate with myself, the championship match seems rushed, and Jey has not earned the right to face Gunther. Plus, Gunther did not deny Jey the opportunity to face him for the championship, unlike when he denied Sami 2 weeks ago. So, or many weeks ago. Also, yeah, I mean, Jey just suddenly popped into number 1 contendership, but he did win the night before, beating Drew McIntyre. I think that was a bad decision. I don't like it either. But given that they knew where they were going for Monday, if Drew were to have beaten Jey, but they don't want Drew to face Gunther, they wanted Jey, well, then the argument to be made, well, he just lost last night and he's getting a title shot. Maybe that's the logic behind it. They didn't want Drew to beat Jey, and then Jey's the one the next night to go and challenge Gunther unopposed. All right, 2 quick side notes. The Wide Six are moving to SmackDown, as mentioned by Cross in a conversation with The Miz. Kind of weird after losing to Cross in the Final Testament on December 9th, the Wide Six are moving to SmackDown. Are there any hope for the Wide Six in 2025? Well, the year is young, my friend. The year is young. I just said that I'm concerned about them, and there is reason to be concerned. I didn't write them off and say that they're going to be Jinder Mahal'd. All right? They're not going to be Sangud, I don't think, but it is concerning. However, perhaps they have a bigger plan in mind for the Wide Six on SmackDown. They looked at the Raw landscape and said, okay, they've kind of done everything they can do here. Let's go. And maybe they're moving to SmackDown to eventually tie up with Solo and his heel faction. I would think that's the plan, which would reinvigorate all parties. Honestly, I think that's a good matchup. And lastly, is this some sort of angle with Corey airing his grievances on X about his position? Or does this have anything to do with Pat McAfee? Anyway, DJ signing off. Have a great weekend. I mean, I kind of just addressed this earlier, so I guess I won't repeat myself. But if you heard my answer earlier, DJ, about the whole Pat McAfee and Corey Graves and all that, then you got your answer before. All right. Well, thank you, DJ. We'll get to the Joe Hendry report soon. And let's go into Patreon directly. Let's see if anybody messaged me here. And this is from Scott. Scott says, Scott M., I think I'm a little late. Well, you're not, so congrats. Here we go. Number 1, I think Naomi attacked Jade. In the 2024 Royal Rumble, Naomi returned and Jade debuted at the same event. Jade also eliminated Naomi. Ooh, good observation. So my thoughts are that Naomi was jealous that Jade overshadowed her return and then eliminated her, causing further jealousy. What do you think about this? That's a hell of a observation, Scott. One that I've heard nobody bring up. So I have you guys to make me feel and sound smart, because I certainly would not remember that. So thank you, Scott, for that. That's a hell of a logic. But here's the question. Does WWE even remember that? Sometimes they don't even remember their own stuff. So that's, if WWE's listening, anybody that has an ear in their creative, if Naomi is the person that did attack Jade, which many people are landing on, there's your origin story. Good stuff, Scott. Number 2, I listened to your Raw review. Good show. Just the girl about the crying at ringside. That was Penta's daughter. Not that we need to see it on TV, but it makes sense. She was proud of her father. Great work again on the podcast. Keeps me going on my postman route every day. Scott in the UK. Well, enjoy your post route, or postman route. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, again, I went over that, and it's one of the points. Missed it. Nothing more. Totally missed it, and absolutely understandable that she's proud of her dad. I mean, yeah, that's it. I'm not being facetious or trying to be a jerk. I'm being serious. Like, it's cool. It's good. It's an emotional moment that was real. So no problems there. All righty. Let's jump back to the emails. We might have a couple more here, and this is, let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss any patrons. So if you are a patron and I read your email, well, I read your email last, it's because you didn't put in the subject that you're a patron. So please make sure you do that. All right, a couple here, and then we'll get to the voicemails. This is from Matt, and he says, newish listener for a couple of years. I thought I'd share my journey on watching WWE again. I watched religiously when I was a kid, similar to the timeline you watched from the mid to late 90s. Was a huge fan of the Monday Night Wars, and at the time much preferred WCW, especially NWO and Sting. I always loved The Rock and Orton as well as the game Triple H. But around 2009, I stopped watching, and I got into UFC and boxing. I recently started out ironically watching the Dom and Ray story on YouTube and got into the Bloodline story as a result. I love Dom's hard time angle and coming out in the police cuffs at WrestleMania. The whole deadbeat dad angle and Valentine's Day dinner with Rhea had me hooked. Nearly 2 years later, I've been watching Raw and SmackDown each week and listening to your podcast for both shows and any mailbag, etc. No real purpose for this email, but the only general comment I wanted to make was that I find how odd that Solo lost to Roman. I really feel like Solo has been making huge gains on the mic and with his promos, and think he has a lot more to offer. I genuinely thought Roman would be all for elevating his family, but it seems like WWE has other plans for Solo. I hope it's not a mid-card death. Anywho, keep up the good work, loving the podcast, and really finding the insights in both shows refreshing. All right, well, very good, very good. I wouldn't say this email is pointless. It's always cool seeing how people got out of wrestling and back in. That's great. I mean, you started watching UFC and boxing in 2009, and then a few years ago, you get into the Dom and Ray stuff. That's cool. It's interesting that that's the story that brought you back, but it was a good one. I can't deny it. I remember the whole dinner and Dom gets arrested. The whole hard time thing was just peak Dom. It was peak Dominic Mysterio, talking about how he ran his block and, you know, just how tough he says he was in prison. I mean, he went in storyline to a county jail for like a few hours, and he pretended to come out this hardened criminal. You know, and just, it was just brilliant. He's the perfect smarmy guy that would pretend he's tougher than he is and exaggerate stories. It just all fit perfectly. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I can't deny that the deadbeat dad stuff was good. The Valentine's Day dinner was great. Man, I forgot about all that stuff already. But as far as Solo losing to Roman, I've been beating that drum. Solo lost, and the biggest loss he had to Roman was when his bloodline faced the OG bloodline and they lost. And Solo took the fall. So, like, what are we doing? Solo is the guy they've been trying to build. They've been trying to get him to a position that feels like he's truly main event. They did that, and then he gets there and he loses every big match that he's in. Yeah, I would agree on the mic. I think he's done good. He's done good. I wouldn't say even great. I would just say good, to at times touching very good. A lot of times average. He's never bad. He's never bad or embarrassing, but I think there's work to be done there. But it's hard to get people to invest in you when you've educated the audience that, he'll lose the big one. And he does. And he continues to. Now he's lost the Ulufala, so he's been emasculated. Now Roman's back to being truly the tribal chief. What that tells you is this. We're in WrestleMania season. And they clearly have bigger plans for Roman Reigns than they do Solo Sikoa. Because Roman has done everything that you wanted him to do upon his return. Take down Solo Sikoa, have the OG Bloodline reunite, and then have them beat the Bloodline 2.0, and they did that. And then third part, take back the Ulufala and become the tribal chief again, and he did that. So like check. We should be past Solo and Roman. There's nothing left to really tell there. I mean, you could rehash stuff. You could have it ultimately be discovered that The Rock was the one who ordered the originally Solo to take over, and that was my original thought, that that's what would be revealed. But I guess The Rock is too busy, breaking storyline, breaking fourth walls, and worrying about the debut of Netflix, and going back to Dwayne playing The Rock, and he's still worried about that rather than one of the best storylines that they've produced in the last 10 years. But that to me is still possible. But the Solo Roman story as it's presently constituted, I think is kind of past. It's done. They've done everything that you've wanted to see. The babyface has reigned supreme. That's how you know it's time to kind of move on. All right. Well, let's continue. And thank you for the compliments, Matt. Let's talk to... we'll do... Let's see here. Let's see. It depends how long these emails are. It really does. All right. This is a shorter email here. This is from Lisette. And I'm going to guess you're a woman, so I'll just say she. She says, I have a theory, a prediction about who will win the Rumble. My theory is Brock Lesnar will make an appearance. Ooh, I like this. Towards the end of the end and throw out mostly everyone, leaving himself and CM Punk. He'll lock eyes with CM Punk. And then he'll eliminate himself, which will leave CM Punk as the winner. This will be the favor from Paul Heyman. I don't think Brock's appearance at the Rumble means he's going to be on the roster full time, but that he did this for Paul Heyman. Crazy theory, or is it actually plausible? Well, I will say this. It's possible, but even more possible that Brock comes out. Like I said, he could help CM Punk, but then here's the issue with that. Now that's a favor, no doubt, and one that Paul Heyman could implement. Couple issues. Number one, does Brock even want to come back? Right? Is Brock even interested, or is he just happy, hunting, fishing, and living the high life up there in Saskatchewan? I mean, I don't know. With his 10-foot fence around his property, which I'm very jealous of. Is he happy about that? Maybe. Maybe he doesn't have an interest in coming back. Certainly he doesn't need the money. But even beyond that, even if Brock was interested in coming back, they struck a deal. That kind of hurts CM Punk, though, right? Because if he needs the help of Brock, unless you're trying to turn Punk heel, it discredits his victory by a lot. And it also makes Brock look like, why would Brock agree to this? What's in it for him? Now, does Paul Heyman owe Brock a favor for doing the favor that he had to be a part of to cash in for Punk? I mean, it gets kind of weird, right? Like, Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants and always has. So there's nothing in it for Brock. Like, nothing. But that would satisfy the Punk favor. But for Brock, like, that kind of be like, oh, that was weird. Brock shows up, helps Punk win. Now, Punk's discredited in his victory. It looks like his victory is a little bit kind of wishy-washy. And what the hell, Brock now is just doing the bidding of whatever Paul Heyman says. There's some fatal flaws with it, but I feel your logic. And lastly here, as for the Women's Rumble, if Charlotte Flair doesn't show up, then I've given up trying to predict when she makes a return. Well, see, that's when they're going to do it. When people stop talking about it and predicting it. So that's kind of it. I mean, I have said this. This is like my final prediction: is that Charlotte is the return to the Rumble. If she doesn't, then I'm done. The thing is, as time goes on, we have to be getting closer to being right. So if you keep predicting it, eventually you'll be right. All right, where do I want to go? Let's go to Attorney Tut here, and he says, I'm still forming an overall opinion on Triple H's performance as head of WWE thus far, but I think you hit on my core critique with your Netflix Raw review. His focus seems to be overly brand and production-centric and light on engaging stories and feuds. But I'll send it over more developed analysis on that point in the future. I want to focus on one example of the broader issue, which is how WWE treats Cody Rhodes. Why in the world is everyone trying to put him over on every show? The Rock, Drew, Paul Heyman, everyone is using some of their promo to talk about how Cody is carrying the company and has been such a great champion. I don't recall wrestlers ever blowing this much smoke for the current champion. It's bizarre. It comes off a little like WWE is insecure about Cody as the main guy, and they're overcompensating by using other talent to try to convince us. Maybe Cody is doing a ton of behind the scenes that warrants the on-air recognition, but the wrestlers, his peers, should be gunning for the champion, not praising him every promo. If he's that great of a champion, it would speak for itself. But as you've correctly pointed out, his reign has been lackluster, so all of this in-ring public praise comes off a little like WWE may not be sold on him in this top spot. It also speaks to the broader Triple H era criticism I alluded to above, in that WWE has gotten so focused on telling us how great they are as opposed to just being great. Keep up the good work until the next one. Thank you. You always just put things great, Mr. Tutt. It's just awesome. I cannot agree with this point anymore, and I'm not blowing smoke up your backside. I'm not, because you're a listener. This aligns with everything I've said. You just put it always in a better way, much more eloquent than I ever do. So that's something that I think subconsciously you pulled out of me. It's something I didn't know that I needed to say. It's something that I felt and maybe couldn't put into words, and you just did it there perfectly. Now, they didn't do this for who was the last like babyface champion, right? The top babyface champion, Seth Rollins. Was he? I mean, again, not the WWE Championship, because before Roman Reigns held it, Bray Wyatt was champion. That's how long we're talking, like 4.5 years ago. And different time, wasn't Netflix, COVID, weird, right? But even when Seth Rollins was champion, I can't remember even them with the new World Heavyweight Championship that was introduced a year and a half ago, having them blow a lot of smoke up Seth Rollins' ass. I don't remember that. With Cody, it's sickening. It makes me really curious how people haven't turned on him. Everybody's praising and bowing at the altar of Cody like he's doing this great thing, and it's just kind of like, no, he's just champion. How is he carrying the weight of the company? Like, okay, he's champion, but what has he done that is just so remarkable and unprecedented that it requires all top talent all the time to put in their promos that he is killing it, that he is, he's carrying the weight of the company. He's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Okay, he's doing what is required of that position, meaning, yeah, he's doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I'm sure he seems like a genuinely nice guy. He's going and doing things on his day off. All these things, media scrums, radio appearances, podcast, he's doing it all. That's great, admirable. But here's the thing. It's also kind of just expected. It's nothing extraordinary. There's nothing extraordinary going on with Cody Rhodes. He's fulfilling the role that's required of being in that position. That's it. That doesn't mean the company is on your shoulders. You know how I know? You know how I know the company wouldn't fall apart without Cody Rhodes? Because it didn't when he wasn't there. And it would continue to be just fine even if he left the company tomorrow. It goes back to what I talked about earlier. Nobody's at the level that WWE is going to say, oh my God, we need them or we're going to fall apart. Oh my God, we need them to bear the weight of the company's pressure. And no. Like Cody, look, seems like a very nice guy. Genuinely seems like a nice guy. Hardworking guy. Yes. Fights through injuries. Yes. Like pretty much everyone does. Has he represented the company respectfully? Yes. Does he look like a corporate shill? Yes. Does he speak like a politician? Yes. All the things that I'm sure the suits love. But you know what, Cody? Congrats on just on doing your job. Like, Congratulations. That's what your job requires. Cool. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I could do it. I'm not saying everybody's cut out to do it. But I'm saying many, many, many have before. And many will continue to fill that position admirably even after Cody Rhodes cannot fulfill it anymore. So I don't know why all the praise is being showered. Like you said, it does seem very heavy-handed. It seems very heavy-handed, very forced, very, hey guys, make sure look at Cody getting an endorsement from all these big stars. That means you should like him and you should think these things. If you're not saying them and thinking them here, make sure you think these things. It's almost like our overlords are making sure that they are implanting what they want us to think in our brains because it's constant, which makes me resent them even more. It makes me push back on Cody as champion even more, at least as a babyface. Again, for me, you switch, you turn him as a bad guy, I'm all in because that's what he is. I'm not saying in real life. His character is, and I won't go into it. I've done it too many times, but my point still stands. And thank you, Attorney Todd, for bringing that out of my subconscious, which is what you did. You really just got in there and you dug and you pulled it out. And I appreciate that because that's a great observation. That is a really good one. All right. Let's go one more email. Last one. This is Jeff. Says, hi, Matt. I love your podcast. Thank you. You made a comment on Mailbag last week on number 216 that all streaming rights for WWE will move to Netflix in 2026. With the streaming rights going up for bid in spring of next year, I don't see this as a foregone conclusion. WWF/E has a decades-long relationship with NBC Universal. I don't see them walking away with that and from that, and the relaunch of Saturday Night Main Event is an indication they want to maintain that relationship. From a financial standpoint, WWE would be foolish to put all their eggs in one basket, so to speak, having revenue generated from Netflix, NBC Universal, CW, YouTube, Twitter, Roku, and any other platform I'm not thinking of is a smart approach. No investor should bet on any single stock, and it's safe to say that Nick Khan, as well as TKO, knows that diversification is key. Also, Peacock has handled the WWE content, specifically live events, extremely well. Even though Netflix can outbid pretty much anyone, I don't and wouldn't be all surprised if WWE chooses to stay with Peacock at least in the US. I think many fans want the simplicity of a one-stop for WWE, but that's not the world we live in. Many baseball teams, for example, broadcast their games on several different networks in any given week. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Keep up the stellar work. All right, Jeff. Well, no, fair points. So here's my thought. It's not a particularly really insightful or overthought or, you're not going to get a dissertation from me on this because it's kind of simple. Money. Who's got the most of it? Like, who can give me the most? And is WWE and is NBC Universal trying to show WWE, hey, stick with us. I know our contract's coming up soon and in about a year. Stick with us. Maybe. But if this goes smoothly with Netflix over the next year, little streaming problems, more, you get the reaction you want from the fan base, that it's been a general success. You get feedback from your stakeholders and shareholders that, they're happy too. Then perhaps they do move to Netflix. Does it come down to money? Yes, I think it does. I don't think it's about putting all your eggs in one basket here. Netflix ain't going anywhere. I mean, they're just not. They are a needle mover, to say the very least. They are the effing needle. I mean, Netflix, they have, I have to look up the damn numbers. I probably should. I would venture to guess that there are more active paying Netflix subscribers than any other platform. More than Hulu, more than Paramount Plus, more than Discovery Plus, more than, what the hell is some other weird ones? But you can put them all together, and I bet you it still doesn't equal the active paid subscriber on Netflix, which is why they chose to go there on top of the ad revenue. They already have a built-in platform. It's plug and play for WWE. As long as the relationship doesn't go sour, there's not a ton of technical issues, and the money's right, they're going to Netflix, baby. I mean, I think that is, and I think it's going to go to the highest bidder, which could be Netflix. Again, I'm not saying for sure it is. Is it going to be is a one-stop shop easy? Yes. Yeah, it'd be a lot easier. But a lot easier in what? Just the convenience of, I got to switch the app. You know what I mean? But this is the convenience that we live in today is, oh my God, I got to go to a different app. I have to swipe over and go to that app. I mean, that's where we're at today, guys. You talk about a sign of the times. But WWE doesn't really care about that. They care about, in this case, bottom line. Peacock has done a nice job. I think they have. But would it be nice to have an all-inclusive library in one spot? Of course. It would actually be nice. Instead of having to go to multiple places. But we'll have to see. I think they're hopeful they can put everything on Netflix. This is kind of a trial run with their live Raw agreement. And then we'll see if they want to import the whole library if the money's right. So, yeah, hell of a topic. I know this is kind of the business end of things, but it's going to come down to money, my friend. It just is. And it's not, I really don't think it's about putting all your eggs in one basket. I just don't because, Netflix ain't going anywhere. They are a pillar of streaming. It's not like they're an upstart. Yeah, well, they're growing. Hopefully that continues. They're a mega star. I mean, they're, the only way that Netflix would be, damaged here where I'd be concerned about WWE, some kind of catastrophic hack, some kind of like mega technical issue happens. Millions of people's data is compromised. And you have people just not trusting Netflix anymore, and they leave the streaming service. That's a concern any platform. But outside of a catastrophic event, unforeseen, I don't see something like that being a concern of all of your eggs in one basket. I just don't. But yeah, I mean, you could have a fun debate about this. I'd have to dig into all the numbers and stuff, and you could really get into it. But thanks, Jeff. All right, that'll do it for the emails. So we'll get to those voicemails. I think we got a couple, so let's just jump into it right now.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take it to my 27th episode of the Joe Hendry Report. As always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location, the oh-so-cozy undisclosed location, as I am doing my best to stay warm in the month of January. It's just getting cold and windy, so if you're living in the Northeast like I am, or in any part of the world that is cold, stay warm and stay cozy to the best of your ability. Now let's take you back to what happened on the previous episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, on a pre-tape episode as we're on the road to TNA Genesis. That'll be happening this Sunday. That's right, folks. This Sunday, January 19th, live from Dallas, Texas. In this main event we had on this pre-tape episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, we had none other than Joe Hendry and the ECW legend Rhino going up against the Nemeth brothers of Ryan Nemeth and the TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth. But before we get to the tag team main event, I must mention that TNA did a great job in this video montage about Joe Hendry, about how he became a global sensation. And it wasn't overnight. It took years, many years for him to get to where he is today. He had to go through, I guess you could say, the growing pains. He was a musician. That didn't work out. He did some acting. He was involved in other things that he was trying to figure out where his purpose was in life. Then on December 31st, 2012, he said to himself, on January 1st, 2013, I am going to commit full time to becoming a professional wrestler. And that is what he did as he hustled his way through all of the different indie shows on the circuit down in Scotland. He tried to differentiate himself from the other wrestlers. And the fact that he had a background in music, he said, hey, wait a minute, let me become the pop star of professional wrestling in Scotland. And that is what he did as he would do these hilarious videos, I guess you could say, trying to make himself unique to stand out amongst all of the hardcore wrestlers down in Scotland. His friend, a close friend of his, a close buddy of his, let him know about TNA Pro Wrestling and about the exciting things that were happening down in TNA, which was very unique to what was not happening in other wrestling promotions. This was, of course, in the heyday of TNA, you know, with Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, and of course AJ Styles, and everybody that was part of that big movement back in the late 2000s into the early 2010s. Anyway, his friend introduced him to TNA Pro Wrestling, and one of the videos that was on Joe Hendry's video iPod, that's right, a video iPod, was TNA Genesis 2006, in which the main event was Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. That was the match that he always watched from time to time, and guess what? On TNA Genesis this year, 2025, Joe Hendry will be in the main event. So from watching the main event or watching TNA Genesis 2006 to now fast forward to 2025, almost 20 years to that point. But anyway, let's get to the main event. But before we get to that, I just also want to mention that doing this documentary, which is 7 minutes, you can watch on YouTube. It's a tremendous story of the highs and lows of Joe Hendry's career, to where he was back then to where he is today, as everybody says his name, everybody believes, and we are all rooting for Joe Hendry as we get ready for their big pay-per-view matchup, TNA Pro Wrestling's TNA Genesis, that will be happening this Sunday. That's right, January 19th, 2025, live from Dallas, Texas. Now let's take you to the main event from this past episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, in which Joe Hendry and none other than Rhino got the victory against the Nemeth brothers in 9 minutes and 14 seconds, as Rhino hit the Gore Spear on Ryan Nemeth, and then Joe Hendry went for the standing ovation chokeslam, and 1, 2, 3, everybody was chanting for Joe Hendry as all roads lead to this Sunday. This is the moment. This has to be the time for Joe Hendry to finally become a TNA World Champion. We saw the trials and tribulations of 2024. If you watch the documentary, the montage on Joe Hendry, you got to believe in Joe Hendry. Now, with that being said, and before I go on a long tangent, I must always say, always remember to believe. Say his name. Remember the words that Joe Hendry says anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, after when Joe Hendry becomes a world champion on January 19th, most importantly, do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
All right. Well, DJ, it's it's great to follow along. All these things that that's why I have you here, man. I'm not keeping nearly as close of an eye on the Joe Hendry story as you are, and it's great to see and hear about what's going on. And I would encourage everybody to go take a look at that documentary on YouTube. It's 7 minutes. Good to see the story. It's always fun to see the story of somebody who is, maybe on the brink of superstardom. I don't know if Joe Hendry's there yet. Obviously, in WWE, he has yet to make a real splash, but on the main roster anyway. But is he close to becoming TNA World Champion? Yes, I think so, based on what you've told me. Getting the victory in the tag team match here with Rhino. I didn't even know Rhino was still. Honestly, I didn't know that Rhino was still active in any way. But getting the victory here, standing ovation chokeslam, good stuff. I mean, that's what you need. You need momentum. You need him to get a little bit of a reputation somewhere else before he makes a big splash. Because I think WWE fans, a small portion, but some, do pay attention to the indies and pay attention to other promotions like TNA and see who's coming and what could be somebody that they imagine down the road WWE picks up. And Joe Hendry is certainly one of those guys. And it is fun to watch and see the story, though. So I'll have to check out that documentary, as short as it is. So Thank you, my friend. And one more.
Ask the French guy here, your current European champion. Guys, let's talk about The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, a famous actor, shareholder of the TKO board, shareholder of WWE, the Final Boss, the People's Champion, you name it. What is The Rock doing once again? I have the impression I have the same conversation every year. Last year, and about this time, I was hoping for The Rock versus Roman Reigns. You, Cody crybabies, you took this out of my mouth. You did this. But WrestleMania was pretty good. The Rock delivers on this Final Boss character that was very nice. I really enjoyed the storyline so much. But why? Why The Rock? Why did you flush all those storylines in the toilet? Now you're back to Dwayne Johnson, as you said not so many times. But, guys, if The Rock doesn't offer us the Roman Reigns versus The Rock match this year, it's okay. If it's not in WrestleMania, that's fine. But if we don't have it this year, we will never have it. Never. The Rock is an actor, I understand, but he's a shareholder of the company. And I swear to everybody, Roman Reigns versus The Rock is bigger than any movie it's been ever, and any movie it will ever be. I don't care if it's the latest James Bond, The Rock versus Roman Reigns is the match to establish history. It is, right now, I'm not afraid to say it, that's the biggest match in history, in the 21st century. It's the biggest match you could ever make right now. So please, The Rock, do it! Bye, guys.
Alex, it seems like, are you saying, and I might have missed this, you're saying that The Rock versus Roman Reigns would actually be kind of a big match? Like, somewhat. Sounds like it might be something WWE wants to explore sometime down the road. We don't want to rush it. That's the message I'm getting. Maybe I totally misheard you, but I'm just being a jerk. Look, this match would be a complete failure on the part of WWE, The Rock, whoever's involved in this, if this match doesn't happen in our life. And it's getting more concerning with every passing year. There's no Cody Rhodes this year to screw things up, at least when it comes to championship stories and all that crap. I don't need The Rock competing for a championship. I never did, never wanted him to, because it doesn't need it and it wouldn't make sense. And for a lot of reasons, The Rock should not become champion. If they do it, it'll be a fun, nostalgic moment. And then I'd go, oh, wow, cool. So we got another absentee champion here. Here we go again, another absentee champion for 6 months and before he drops it or whatever. I don't need that. What I do need is Rock Roman, no title. I've said this for 10 years, literally. I feel like I'm living in, Groundhog Day here. The Rock and Roman Reigns is a must. It's a must happen. I don't care. Here's what I would do. I don't give a damn about any hashtags. I don't give a damn about any social media movements, any grass movements. I don't care about any bowel movements, any kind of movements. We ignore them and we do The Rock and Roman Reigns. I don't even care who's playing the babyface. I don't care who's playing the heel. Those are insider terms. WWE, I bet, didn't let you know that. Those are insider. That means good guy and bad guy, just in case you guys didn't know that too. But the idea that we don't get it is offensive. And also it's getting concerning because Father Time is undefeated. I'm not saying one of them is going to die in the next year, but age does have a big factor. Both are healthy. Both are in somewhat of a storyline to do it, even though The Rock just completely took a crap all over every storyline he could when he came out as Dwayne and thanked everybody and told Cody thank you and buried every storyline that he was a part of over the last year that was just brilliant. He just essentially took a crap and flushed it down the toilet. You can resurrect him because it's The Rock and he could say, oh, it's just, just being nice and it's the first debut. I didn't want to get, whatever. He can come up with stuff. it was still nonsense that he did it, but you could repair it. It was only 1 week. And, get to it. Get to it. Have the match so we can all move on with our lives. And then you want to get to a Rock and Cody match for the championship at SummerSlam? Fine. Have Cody beat The Rock. I don't care. Just get to Roman Rock. You got to do it. And I actually think that they're lined up for this year to do that. They have the Royal Rumble coming up here. The Rock, I think, here's my early call on it. I think The Rock eliminates Roman Reigns, who's in the Rumble. See, Roman Reigns is in the Rumble. All the stars seem to be aligning here. Rock is not declared for the Rumble. He could declare himself in it or just show up. He's an executive. He can bend the rules. He could come in, eliminate. He looks like he's going to team with Roman, but he actually throws out Roman. I don't know. John Cena tosses out The Rock or whatever, but I don't think The Rock's going to win the Rumble. I'm just saying he could be the one that costs Roman Reigns the match. That costs. He's the reason, the sole reason that he loses. And there you go. You're off to the races. Bam. Let's go. I'm not advocating for Roman to win. I'm not advocating for The Rock to win. It's about building those two who lost the Rumble to a match at WrestleMania. We've seen it happen before. So definitely that's how I would go and get this match out of the way. And I don't mean to rush it, but I'm scared that it won't ever happen if it doesn't happen this year. I'm getting progressively more scared. It was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 37, then it was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 38, then WrestleMania 39, then WrestleMania 40, but then the fans, blah, 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 and then WrestleMania 41, but then The Rock comes back as Dwayne, and then we hear all this crap about him not being available, which we hear every year about him, his movie scheduled, and on and on and on and on. It's the same story every year. Same crap, except last year the fans are the ones that actually decided we don't want it. We want Cody to finish his bedtime story. That's what they wanted, and so I kind of blame the fans. If we don't ever get Rock Roman, I'm blaming the fans directly. However, if the fans didn't have that movement, we wouldn't have the final boss if he ever decides to come back as truly the final boss. Anyway, I think I'll stop there. I appreciate everybody for listening, everybody for calling in. You guys can participate if you're a new listener or you're an old-time listener. You just want to you finally want to maybe throw an email to me and have me answer it on the air. Mailbag at wwepodcast.com or call us. Leave a voicemail. 518-952-0247. Promise I don't pick up the number. It's a voicemail box, so I'm not going to pick up and be like, hey, who's this? No, that'd be very weird. It's just a voicemail box. I use Google Voice, so that's what it is. And check it out if you're interested. And I'll be back on Sunday with your weekend review. So everybody enjoy your weekend, stay warm, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.